The Peaceful Mother.
Hello and welcome to The Peaceful Mother, where I empower you to go from reactive parenting to proactive parenting, helping you heal old wounding and teaching you how to regulate your nervous system so that you can show up as the peaceful parent that you aspire to be. I'm Emily. I am a parenting coach, a trauma recovery coach, and author of The Angry Mom's Guide to Self-Regulation. You may already know me from my Facebook page or my Instagram page. Whether you are new here or not, I am so glad that you decided to click on this video. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, share, help me get this content out there to as many parents in need as possible. Let's get into this. The most common issues that I run into as a creator in the realm of peaceful parenting are the misconceptions around what peaceful parenting actually entails and also why maybe it doesn't work. So the first thing that I want to clarify is that peaceful parenting is not permissive parenting. This is the number one misconception that I hear from people, lots of haters in my comments, claiming, that I'm raising my child to be a terrorist and a school shooter and all of these horrible things because they claim that my daughter lacks, boundaries and any kind of rules or expectations. And it's just simply not true. Peaceful parenting is not permissive. It is authoritative. So authoritative parenting is one of 4 parenting styles. This research dates back to the 60s. I plan to do another video on the 4 parenting styles, what they all entail, get deeper into that. But in the meantime, if you want to learn more, I do have a free guide available on my website that you can download. So I'll put the link in the description. So go check that out if you are interested in learning more. But for now, let's get into those 3 reasons why peaceful parenting is not working for you. All right. So the first reason is that maybe you don't truly understand what the goal of peaceful parenting actually is. So as I stated, peaceful parenting is authoritative parenting. And so peaceful parenting is basically kind of providing a roadmap for you, for parents to peacefully respond to their children in a way that's supportive and loving, while also setting clear expectations and upholding healthy boundaries, all while really taking into account the child's brain development and their developmental stage, what they're actually capable of. So peaceful parenting does avoid punishments with the understanding that such an authoritarian or coercive approach is, often very, can potentially be harmful for children. And also in the long run, the research shows that it's just actually not that effective. It increases behavioral issues long term. So the peaceful approach really relies on natural and logical consequences to uphold the rules and the boundaries. So an example of a logical consequence is, let's say my 4-year-old daughter is lacking cooperation when it comes to cleanup time, and the schedule goes, we clean up our toys and then she's going to get a little bit of screen time. And so she's lacking cooperation. I've already kind of used a lot of my different techniques of let's make this fun. I'm helping her. I've taken into account what developmentally she's capable of at this point. I haven't just been go clean up and let her, go figure it out. She's not there yet developmentally. So I have appropriate expectations and I'm there with her, walking her through the process, but there's still a lack of cooperation, just kind of no, I don't feel like it. You do it, Mom. So the logical consequence in this case is that her lack of cooperation is now going to cut into her limited screen time that is to follow. So the longer that you take, to basically sitting there refusing to help me clean up, the less time you are going to get in that, half hour or hour or whatever it might be of screen time. An example of a natural consequence using the same situation, my daughter is not very cooperative during cleanup. Maybe she's putting things away in places that they don't go. So she's not putting away her toys properly. Now, the natural consequence of this is that the next day or a couple days later, she has now misplaced her favorite toy and she can't find it. And that's kind of a huge bummer. As I'm often reminding my daughter, all of our choices in life have consequences, and some of those consequences are, happy consequences. Some of those are sad consequences, and some of those are neutral. And so we want to try to make wise choices so that we can do our best to avoid sad consequences. So in the example of her just kind of tossing her toys willy-nilly, not where they belong, and then losing her toy, that is a sad consequence that naturally results from the choice that she made. Now, of course, if my daughter has lost her toy, there is probably going to be a lot of upset feelings, lots of big emotions. And so this is to be expected. We're not trying to avoid emotions for our children. We're not trying to avoid them having, hard times. That's a part of life. Adversity is a part of life. Emotions are a part of being human. And so then instead of punishing her for those emotions, I am now going to, I'm going to co-regulate with her. I'm going to keep myself regulated. And I'm really just going to, support her as much as I can in those emotions. That's the goal of peaceful parenting. We support our children and we co-regulate when the upset feelings result in response to those, healthy boundaries and expectations being set and upheld. So the thing to remember with peaceful parenting or authoritative parenting is that the goal is not to get our children to blindly obey us or somehow magically behave in unrealistic ways according to their brain development. It's actually to foster innate senses of responsibility, morality, cause and effect, etc. We are in it for the long game here. We are looking at what are the overall, values and lessons that I really want my child to learn. How can I best set them up for, living their to their greatest potential and being the best versions of who they are as they grow, and how can I best foster that and teach that and guide them in that now. We are not just trying to shut them down and get them to obey and learn how to be people pleasers and all of that. That is a lot easier in the short term, yes, absolutely, but we are in it for the long run. The second reason why maybe peaceful parenting isn't working for you is that perhaps you are too reliant on scripts. Now, peaceful parenting is a philosophy. It's a roadmap, not a manual. And so, scripts can be very valuable in giving guidance. They give examples of how to handle this particular situation and things like that. But ultimately, parenting is a relationship that is unique to all of us. And it's unique from, parent to child and then their next child and their different child, it's very unique for each of us. And so it requires instinct. It requires investigation, trial and error. We're all definitely kind of figuring this out as we go along. But peaceful parenting is going to give you a little bit of guidance, not a step-by-step, like this is how you handle every single situation. So if scripts are, working really well for you, with one child, or if they work well in one situation, like that's amazing, great. But don't expect that it's going to work every single time. Don't expect that it's going to work with your other child. Don't expect that it's going to work with the same child in this next situation. You know your child best. And so you really want to be able to trust your maternal or paternal instincts. And I know that can be really difficult, especially for those of us who were raised to be people pleasers, for those of us who are working on healing, childhood trauma or any kind of complex trauma. That can be really difficult. And so that's a lot of what I also share here on this channel, is really helping you begin to connect with your body and connect with your instincts and, communicate with your nervous system and be able to really decipher what it is that your instincts are telling you. The third reason why maybe peaceful parenting isn't working for you is that maybe you are not quite doing the inner work required to actually pull it off. So yes, peaceful parenting, authoritative parenting, it takes inner work. It takes personal growth. It takes healing. Very, very few of us have, a responsive approach come naturally. Most of us are going to default into that reactivity. The foundation of peaceful parenting is really conscious parenting. And so, we need to be conscious or aware of our child's underlying needs when they are, having these big emotional outbursts or when they are experiencing very challenging behaviors. We need to be conscious of our own programming, our own triggers, our own wounds, our window of tolerance, etc. So many things. So I'd love for you to comment below and just let me know if there's any of those things that you would like for me to expand on in any of my videos. If those are things that you're kind of unsure of, I'm happy to get into that more. Just comment below. So yeah, peaceful parenting really requires us to grow ourselves and heal ourselves. There's a number of ways that we can do that. Inner child work, so many of the things that I share here on this channel, and the work that I do with my clients and on my social media pages as well, because this is something that most of us are doing for the first time in our families. Most of us did not grow up with peaceful or authoritative parents. Many of us had, the permissive parent, we had the authoritarian parent, we had neglectful parents, abusive parents. And so if this is something that you're kind of being the cycle breaker in, and you're doing this despite the fact that you have never had any experience with it before, it's going to take some serious inner deep dive into the inner world of you. So if you are struggling to make peaceful parenting work for you, remember, the goal is not to peacefully control your child. It is rather to control yourself so that you can respond in accordance with their brain development, and to successfully instill your children with, the morals, the values, the skills that they're going to need to be happy, healthy, successful people throughout their lives. As I said, we're in it for the long game. It's not easy. It is not the easy road to peacefully parent, but I promise you it is so worth it. Stay tuned for my next video where I am going to be sharing the 4 parenting styles, and stay tuned for my future videos where I get more into somatic work, regulation techniques, inner child work, and more. Again, please feel free to comment in the comment section which of those you are most eager to see. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something. And again, please help me get this out to as many people as possible. So subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you.